Are INEOS about to make another big financial mistake at Manchester United, or is it the right thing to remove Ruben Amorim sooner rather than later? Want to get your views, want to get your opinions. Thank you very much for tuning in as always. Like, subscribe, turn on bell notification buttons, get all the admin done now so you can sit back and not just listen to me, but interact with one another in the live comment section or in the comment section below if you're watching the replay. We spoke last week in the build-up to Man United versus Brentford, and this isn't to say that you all agree with me. This isn't to say that I'm right. But I felt Saturday's game against Brentford was a sliding doors moment. A moment where if we could put a performance in, if we could put that performance in and win, it could be the beginning of a brighter future for Manchester United and Ruben Amorim. Amorim has been backed, not 100%, because no manager ever is, but he's had a good amount of money spent. He's had some excellent attackers purchased. He's had an entire pre-season. He's got one game a week and, brand new training facilities. And he hasn't improved the team one bit. Has he made us worse? We're going to go into that a little bit later because I don't necessarily believe that he has, but he certainly hasn't improved us. So moving Ruben Amorim on now feels inevitable, needed, fundamentally important. But I also don't think we should be laboring under the illusions that all will be well. A better coach, a slightly better coach, a more competent coach, whatever phrase people want to use, are going to fix us in the short term. I think this is a pipe dream. I believe that ignoring other issues at the club, things that also should have been criticised in these opening 6 Premier League games of the season, I think will just bite us in the butt. And we're seeing that a little bit with Tottenham. If you look at the reactions from their fans towards their draw with Bodo Glimt last night. We're going to go through this together. Of course, I can't wait to interact with your comments and your views. If you don't know who I am, some people are asking. My name is Terry Fleurs. I'm from the Football Terrace. But I am here twice a week and have been for about 6 months now. So most of you will know who I am. I'm a Man United fan. That's why I'm on the United stand. So hello and welcome to anyone that's new that hasn't seen me before. And how do I say this in the right way? I'm not an Amorim outer. I'm also not someone who's Amorim in. And I'll tell you what's the one. I want to speak about that right at the start, right at the top. Because I feel both groups are too polarizing. I feel that both groups have very toxic traits. And I believe both groups are ultimately wrong in their pursuit of trying to fix Manchester United. Although they may have I look at it like politics. So if you're actually honest and you go through all the major political parties and you read their manifestos and what they believe in, I think it's almost impossible to not agree with at least one policy on every mainstream political party's agenda. There nearly always is one thing. You'll go, do you know what? I don't like anything else they stand for, but making heating and electric for the elderly and the OAPs and the retired people cheaper is a policy I like. I may not be into what they're talking about, but I think helping to preserve the earth is a good thing. I think there's always one thing, quite often, if we're really honest, there's an overlap. But it doesn't always mean I would vote for that person. Because if I think their underlying message is wrong, if a lot of big policies of theirs I think are a disgrace, just because I agree with one or two bits, I'm never going to side with them. I'm never going to put myself in that group. And that's how I feel a little bit about some Amorim, the Amorim outers and the Amorim inners. And let me explain this to you. If you're someone that thinks the manager's got to go, but you don't think that necessarily fixes us, if you know it's still going to take years to fix the squad, if you're worried about who INEOS might appoint next, you've lost faith, if you're not excited about a new manager, you're not an Amorim outer just because you think he's got to go. If you're an Amorim in person, if you think you're Amorim in, but actually you want him to stay because you feel that the squad are down in tools, you're criticizing the things that are going wrong, but you really feel it may turn around, but you can see the other side of the argument. You're not, for me, in the Amorim inner group either, because you've got a balance to you. You see the nuance. You'll have a conversation. I'm talking about the polarized parts of those groups keep me from wanting to be part of either on every single capacity. And I think it's really important for Man United fans when you're involved in the conversations and the discussions to sit there and talk about it. Now, before we get on to why I think Amorim's got to go, but my concerns with it, the story that we're talking about tonight comes from The Athletic, that Manchester United have spent £52 million. It's a huge amount of money. £52 million on the severance packages of managers in the last 12 years. Just over 12 and a half years. David Moyes walked away with 4.9 million. My personal feeling is it's higher than that, but we'll go with their report. Louis van Gaal walked away with 8.4 million. Jose Mourinho, 19.6 million. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 9.1 million. And Erik ten Hag, 10.4. This is all according to The Athletic. So we're in a situation of 52 million. I'm not sure what the severance package is for Ruben Amorim. I've read different reports, but you can imagine it's going to range between 4 to 10 million. There is a view that if he's sacked in November or after he passes a year of signing his contract, it's cheaper. And I can understand why they would want to maybe wait, but that could be 2, 3, 4 games too much. That could be 6, 9, 12 points further away from any type of success this season. And the reason why we titled the video tonight and focusing on INEOS, are they making another big mistake? Is it worth losing more money to move Ruben Amorim on? Just first question, are you that against him that you feel the sacrifice of 10 million, the sacrifice of 5 million or 8 million or 10 million pound, plus the fact that depending on who the replacement is, if we do go for an Oliver Glasner, if we do go for an Areola, there is going to be compensation to pay. If we go for an interim in Michael Carrick, if we go for Xavi, they're currently out of work, meaning out of work always makes them sound like bums, but they're not in a job, they're out of work, meaning there would be no compensation. But there is also the potential here of 5 million, 10 million, 15 million pounds compensation. It cost us quite a large amount of money to be able to bring Ruben Amorim in the first place. So I think it's always important to I saw that super chat, Rohan, love it, bruv. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because we don't have a lot of money. But for me, Daniel, and I love what you said there, hi Terry, exactly where I am, somewhere in between. And I agree, I'm very much in the middle on all of this. But I do think it's worth the money moving him on. And I want to take you through something. And what I'm about to talk to you about is undeniable because it's a fact. And unless you can debunk this fact, I don't care about your opinion on this. We are fuming at Ruben Amorim for not winning 2 league games or more on the bounce. I understand it. I agree with it. And it is unacceptable. But it took me about 20 minutes of research to work something else out. Between February 2024 to today, so we are talking getting towards 2 years. It's about 20 months. The only time in that period that we have won back-to-back league games was the final 2 matches of the Premier League season 23-24. The final 2 games, they were against Newcastle, the 3-2 win, and the Brighton game. Outside of that, we didn't do it, even with Erik ten Hag. And this is where I feel sobered when it comes to the Amorim out conversation. We then went from May, obviously, right through to the end of October with only 3 more wins. We didn't win 2 on the bounce. Ten Hag's win ratio in the Premier League from that February period. And the reason why I use that February period, we actually won 4 games on the bounce then. And there was if you go back to that, the win over the Wolves, beating West Ham, we beat Villa, we beat Luton. There was a feeling. That was also games where Højlund started scoring, and there was some hope that, okay, tough start to the season, but can we now start to turn this round? And it fell away again very quickly. And I know we won the FA Cup that year, but I never allowed that to paper over cracks. We were a toenail away from being knocked out against Coventry in that semi-final. Yes, we had a brilliant final. We were actually amazing in that final, and I loved it. But overall, I wanted Ten Hag to go because I could see us dwindling. Equally, and this is, I get called out a lot now for, oh, Terry, stop blaming the players so much. This is 90%. This is 100%. It's 95% on the manager that we're this bad. And the facts don't agree with that exaggeration. So we had a 31 win percentage from that February period until Ten Hag was sacked. And I picked that February period for a reason. It was the last time the majority of United fans started to feel genuine hope. We had 4 decent games. There were some still holes in the team, but we played quite well in those games. We won those games, and you felt, okay, maybe we could start to grow from here, and we didn't. 31% win ratio. Not too dissimilar from the win percentage that Ruben Amorim has right now, which currently sits, I believe. Let me just go and check this because I want to make sure I've got my I did have it written down, and then it disappeared because I closed the screen. Not written down. I had it up on my screen. It's gone now. His win percentage is 36%. So worse than Ruben Amorim's. But I'm not going to split hairs. This isn't about defending Ruben Amorim. And this is what I'm going to be very clear about. If any of the challenge around what I'm saying is about defending Ruben Amorim, it's not getting a reaction. Unless if it's a super chat, I'll talk to it because you're paying for an interaction. But I'm not going to interact. And I don't care how arrogant that sounds. It's because this isn't about defending Ruben Amorim. It's about talking about a fact and a big problem at this club. 31% win ratio. And it was getting worse. The start to last season is almost identical to this year. Last season, we won the first game, lost the second, lost the third, won the fourth, drew the fifth, lost the third. You add that all up there, that is 7 points. It's an identical start. My pushback on the Amorim situation is he hasn't made us this bad. He has just not been able to improve us. And let me rephrase that again. He's done an horrendous job of improving us. But my pushback to Man United fans, yes, do I think a better coach than Ten Hag and a better coach for Man United than Ruben could make us win more games? Could they take us into the 40% win margin? Could they take us into the 50% win margin? Could we get 55? Could we get 65%? There's a possibility that happens. But we will level out at some point. And I want us to be prepared for that. That is my only message on this. If you think we're only winning 30% of our games purely because Amorim's our manager, I think you're laboring under an illusion. There may be a spike. Might win our first 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, and everybody goes, see, told you. I saw this before with Ollie. Barring the opening 2 games, we had a very good first 6 months under Ten Hag. I won't be getting overly excited. I won't be against the new manager. I'll not be on his neck. But I'm looking at the facts here. And we take a look here at Tottenham, then I'm going to jump into your comments. We take a look at Tottenham. 17th last year, 1 year. I mean, their season and our season were so identical to each other. Nobody believed in their heart of hearts that they had the 17th worst squad in the league, though. Big Ange massively underachieved. This year, they're sitting 4th. They've had a couple of games now in a row that they've drawn where they haven't been at their optimum best. And I'm hearing, this is fossil football. I'm hearing, is Frank really it? I can't believe it. We started so well. It feels like we're petering out already. Now, there is some PTSD kicking in here. But there is also this element that always happens. Oh, what a performance against PSG. Oh, we beat City. Oh, we smashed this team. And then you start to be lured into a false sense of security. Tottenham do not have the best 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I don't even think they've got the 5th best squad in the league. You start going to 6th and 7th and 8th, you're having a debate. They currently sit 4th in the league. Now, it's early doors. Let's see how things pan out. But if they finish between 6th and 9th in the league this year, for their quality of squad, that's a decent achievement when you look at who else is in this league. But sometimes a really good start with a new manager just gets you a little bit too giddy, gets you a little bit too ahead of yourself. And I don't want Man United fans to fall into that trap, because we may play better football with a more competent coach, with a better coach. I'm all for it. But we must keep our foot on the necks of INEOS, because this squad still needs massive improvement. We must keep our foot on the neck of INEOS, because I still think we have cultural issues at this club. Now, I said this on the Football Terrace the other day when I was streaming with Mark, and I'll say it again now. I hope I'm wrong. And I hope Areola comes in, Glasner, whoever. And I hope that we improve, and it's exponential growth. I hope that it's proven that INEOS have fixed the culture, that their summer windows have actually been brilliant. And the only reason we didn't improve is because Ten Hag and Amorim were nowhere near the standard. And I hope we just go from strength to strength to strength. We don't look back. There'll always be a dip or two, because growth is very rarely linear. And I hope that happens. And you won't see someone admit they were wrong sooner, if indeed INEOS have fixed the club in that way. If there are still loads of problems internally, as many of us believe there to be, I don't get the excitement about a new manager, barring we might win a few games, I might get a bit of a dopamine release, and I might get to wind up a few rival fans. That will be so short-lived. It's like chasing an artificial high. It's never going to soothe you for long. And I just implore people, for what it's worth, you feel free to say what you want and do what you want. Free world, free country, open platform. But I just implore you to not ignore wider problems. And why I'm fearful of this is because the reaction to the realization of these things later on down the line could derail any real progression we're having. It's important. For me anyway. Very, very important indeed. Let's jump into some of your comments here. So, you know what you're saying, and saying the next manager won't change anything is a bit silly, but it's your opinion. Aaron, see again, I'll be honest with you, my friend. At nowhere have I said the new manager won't change anything. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to call you out or be disrespectful, but at no point did I say they won't change anything. I said there's a good chance they make us better and they make us win more. But they're still going to be undercut, in my opinion, by this average squad. So even if they come in and win their first 5 games, 6 games, we have to still stay calm and keep our feet on the ground, because it's still going to take time to get us to the next level. And I've got a horrible feeling we'll get carried away. But please, and I will push back today hard, I did not say a new coach cannot improve us. We need a new coach to improve us, but we must still keep our feet on the ground. It's imperative. Let's have a little look here. Sir Alex's first 5 seasons, 11th, 2nd, 11th, 13th, 16th. He would not survive in this current climate. He probably wouldn't. At the same time, he did a much better job than Ruben Amorim did. A much better job than Ruben Amorim did. Do we look like a team that could come second this season? Not for me. And it's not all on him, by the way. And this is why I've said we've got to keep that's from Red Olsen. This is why we need to keep pushing at INEOS here, because there's been games where the goalkeeper's been an issue. There's been games where we haven't finished our chances. I won't undo all of that. I'm not just going to forgive the misses, forgive the mistakes, forgive the goalkeeping errors just because people want Ruben gone. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to do it. A super chat here from Carl says, Ten Hag was not backed, 3rd place and 2 cups. Look, I suppose it all depends on what your definition of backed is. So from my point of view and perspective, backing someone isn't where Ten Hag wasn't backed is that he was given too much power. And I think that he was allowed to sign players to play his system that he was hired for, but then he wasn't forced by the ownership to implement that style. So although people say he was backed and he was bought lots, again, you're never going to get all your number 1 targets. But where he was backed and had a lot of money spent. But where I don't think they backed him is they didn't force him to play his style. I get you got to adapt. And we've had a lot of conversations about adapting, and something that I've addressed in myself. I said when we employed Ruben, I didn't want a manager that adapts to the players. And I've kind of enhanced my view on that in terms of my definition of what that looks like. You've got to make adjustments. Every manager has got to make adjustments. So, do you know what? I normally play with like a narrow midfield. I can't do it in this league. Too many teams exploit the space. So you make a subtle change to how you play. subtle change to positioning. I don't expect managers to not adapt in that regard. What I don't want to see a manager do is essentially, all right, guys, we tried for a month to implement the style that I think will work. It's not happening. How do you want to play? What position do you want? It's okay, mate. You ain't got to track back. I don't want us bowing down to these prima donnas. That's never going to help fix us. But adjusting elements, making these small, agile adjustments to make your team better, absolutely important. Rohan here says, who's this mug? Big up yourself, Rohan. He says, nice to see you, Terry. Don't you feel Ruben deserves at least 10 games before the sack? This way, we don't rush the decision. Again, for me, I don't see him turning this round. I think in another 4 games, we might pick up 3, could pick up 6 points. You never know. But it feels... Whenever someone's got a few games to save their job, I always think to myself, well, when's the next big issue that undoes that newfound credit? Do you get where I'm coming from? So let's just say you're in a relationship. Example I will give you is this. And you, Rohan, have been a naughty, naughty boy. And you went out dancing. I'm going to put it politely. You went out dancing with another lady. And you and your better half discuss it. You spend some time apart. And then she said, I'm going to give you another chance. You know as well as I do that other chance is going to be fragile in the beginning and grow over the course of time. So maybe in 15 years for a relationship, or 5 years in a relationship, so longer periods in football, if you made another mistake, you know, you got a little bit too handsy and flirty with a girl at a party, you know, you might be forgiven for that. You might not be. But it's been 5 years, it's been 10 years. If you got caught texting another lady a month later, you know it's over. And how I connect that to this Amorim situation is, let's say we beat Sunderland, let's say we beat Liverpool. We go, okay, well, we're 8 games in now, and he's turning it round. And then he loses the next 2 games 3-0. Those 2 wins almost, they give us 3 points, 6 points, which means something. But you're just prolonging the inevitable. Can you, and this is my question to you, and this is how I'm making my decision, can I see him winning 3, 4, 5 on the bounce, losing 1, then jumping back, winning 2, 3, 4 on the bounce? I can't. I can't see it. And I've given it a lot of time. I saw and listened to a lot of the criticism last year. Some of it I didn't agree with. Some of it I still don't agree with. The idea that nothing in the system works, I disagree with. You know, you don't create the chances we have in many games. Go back to last season, West Ham and Wolves at home. You don't create all those opportunities because every aspect isn't working. I don't like the hyperbole that goes with it. It's too much. But do I think he's going to turn it around? The answer is no. Therefore, I think giving him a stay of execution is just a waste of his and our time. Patrick here says, big up, Terry. Good to see you here as well as TFT. Thank you very much. I know, Patrick, you support the United Stand. You support my channel, The Football Terrace, as well. You're a top man. Thank you. The Lamp here says, it freaks me out that Amorim has no plan B tactically. If plan A isn't working in the game, like always, he would switch it up. It is nuts. Do you know what's really sobering about it? Is last year he did use different... He didn't change the shape. But I always go back to a game where we were playing in Europe. This was Garnacho was on the bench because I know he came on, and we had Delo playing left wing back, and he was trying to give us the width, and it wasn't working. And I don't remember who the 10 was, but it wasn't working in the second half. In fact, I could probably just go back and find it if I'm being. Oh, I can't actually. It's changed now. In the second half, he took whoever one of the 10s was, took them off. Maybe Mason Mount. It may have been. Doesn't matter who it was. Took someone off. And he put Garnacho in the position. But what he did is he made the low invert. And then Garnacho went on the outside. That for me is an adaptation. That for me is an adjustment. That for me is changing something slightly. And we played much better. We went on to win the game. I don't even mind. I'm not even against, throwing up a centre-back to score goals. Peak Jose Mourinho used to do that. I'm not against that. That's doing something different. This season, and the Brentford game was such a massive highlighter. It was just, you're bringing on all these attackers, but you had to change the shape. You had to change the shape. When Sir Alex Ferguson, sometimes in his pomp, when we play 4-4-2, would bring on Ollie and he'd bring on Sheringham with Cole and York still on the pitch. He didn't stick two of them at left wing and right wing and have two strikers. He essentially sometimes went to like two at the back and made the holding midfielder sit back a little bit. He'd have four strikers across the top, and then he'd pack the wingers and the midfielders just behind them. I don't know what the formation would be. It was sort of like, you know, it went from a 4-4-2 to sort of a 2-1. How many players have got left now? That's three. Sort of a 2-1 3-4 type formation. But he put the players where they're meant to be. What I saw Ruben do at the weekend was just keep, okay, well, now Mount's going to go wing back. Now this guy's going, it was never going to work. And that for me was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous and needs criticizing. This is from Scott. It says opinions on Roberto De Zerbi. I like De Zerbi. I think he is an excellent manager. I think he would fail miserably at Man United. Just my gut feeling. I don't know if this squad is ready to be treated and spoken to the way he does. He's an acquired taste. There's a lot of people in 2025 that would see him as a bit of a bully, as an authoritarian, as too emotional. These people are typically kind of work shy themselves or have a problem with authority. But I think a lot of players in our squad are a bit work shy at times and have a problem with authority. I think it could start well, but I think it would end in absolute disaster. And that's a shame, really, because that's the cultural issues. Brandon here says, for someone who used to play in midfield, Ruben Amorim is surprisingly bad at identifying what's actually wrong with his own midfield. The thing is, he said something today in an interview. I want to read this quote out. Another interview where he said what he learned in the Premier League. He said, it is really hard. It is completely different, really. He says, I played maybe 7 to 8 games against English teams in the Champions League and Europa League, but to play this league is completely different. And the one thing that did is made me go, imagine if he changed it this weekend. Can you imagine if he went 4-3-3 and we look great? Play Liverpool 4-3-3 and we win away. There'd be this part of me that would go, you're bellend. I'd be like, you're a bellend. You're an absolute bellend because you weren't a bad coach. You're just stubborn, son of a gun. I don't think that's going to happen, by the way. There's just part of me that would love to see the fallout and reaction if it did. But this is what I mean. I don't expect him to let go of his principles, but adaptations. Right, we need to fill this space. How do we do it? Can we do it in this formation? No. Let's change formation. And I said before, just because you play 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 3-4-3, in and out of possession, formations are quite fluid anyway. You're seeing right now with Liverpool, they've gone to a 4-2-3-1, not a 4-3-3, but they're still pushing their fullbacks forward. But their midfield two are not sitting deep enough to cover those spaces. It's not just because they've got Verts, but they want to be closer to Verts, and it isn't working. A small adaptation to this, as in only one fullback goes forward, and maybe one of those midfielders pushes slightly wider. There are little things you can do that keeps most things the same, but just gives you that extra protection, fills a little hole in. And he just, for whatever reason, has chosen not to do it. And it's disappointing because he's probably going to go off somewhere else and do well. Maybe he'll adapt later. Kevin United here says, hi, Terry. I hope you are doing good. I'm very well, thank you. He says, I believe we should back Ruben. He hasn't received all his signings, and past lessons should show that changing managers isn't the right solution. I saw something. Do you know what's interesting? I want to get out of the cycle of just sacking managers. I do. But we have to improve. Do I think this squad is the 15th, 14th worst squad in the league? No. Do I think it's average? Yes. But I think with the right coach, we should be the better side of average. We should be pushing for 8th, 7th, maybe even 6th place. With the opposite side of that, and for me, that's highly, highly problematic. So I respect your opinion, Kev. I understand where you're coming from. But there has been no improvement. We're as bad now as we were in the last 9 months under Ten Hag. It feels worse now, and a lot of this is in our mind. It feels worse because we had no improvement. Had he had a new manager bounce and won 8 of his first 10 games, similar to Ollie, I think there'd be more patience in him now. but that didn't happen either. So we have had 20 months, barring that FA Cup victory, we have had 20 months of hell. There's been a handful of good results in that time for both Amorim and for Ten Hag, but it's been horrendous. And this is where I'm probably not entertaining when it comes to this but when it comes to this subject matter. It's probably why a lot of inners and outers don't like me, because I'm balanced with it. The lack of improvement is unacceptable. But then you'll get people, yeah, but the squad ain't good enough. I'm like, no, it isn't good enough. Oh, how are you defending Ruben? I'm not defending him. I'm calling out both things at the same time simultaneously. I think to fix Man United, we have to get away from being polarized as fans. Cal here says, Sir Alex Ferguson was a European Cup winner before United. Amorim has no clout to be this stubborn. Stubbornness where we need to be, yes, but not this stubborn. It isn't yielding the results. It isn't yielding the performances. If we were really good against Brentford and they were really good and they beat us, I'd be less angry. If we'd have won that game, if Bruno scores that penalty and the red card happens and we go on to win 3-2, I'd have been fuming because the performance was bad. It's why I wasn't as angry after the Arsenal defeat, because this is the bit that's frustrating. I saw loads of things in that game I liked, loads of things. And I wanted us to grow from that, and it didn't happen. And that's a disappointing thing for me. Cal here, who's been a member for 23 months. Thank you, bro. He says, respectfully, I disagree with you, Terry. Our defense is poor. Once Martinez returns and he's with De Ligt and Yoro, I see us winning games. Trust him. Listen, if we keep him and that happens, I'll hold my hand up and say, yeah, I went too soon. I'm totally open to it. You've got to remember, I always give this advice to young YouTubers. I say, stop trying to always be right. The pursuit of being right, retwisting your words. I see a lot of YouTubers now, they don't even answer things fully. They answer things open-ended. So they'll say, do you think United will beat Sunderland at the weekend? Yeah, I think United will win 3-0. Oh, do you? Yeah, but, and then they list 10 things that could go wrong for United and could make Sunderland win. You go, okay, cool. That way, if Sunderland win, they can say, see, told you. If United win, they go, see, told you. They're so desperate to be right. They don't have an outright opinion. Of course, this is long format content. We can put caveats in there. I just don't think Amorim's going to turn it round. My caveat is I hope that he does. If he stays and he gets given the next 4 games, or he gets given to the next international break, which is probably 5 games, 6 games, I hope he wins them all. I'm not going to hope he fails so that I can say I knew I had to go. It's not in my wheelhouse at all. So, and I know you're not accusing me of that, Carl. I know you're not. And I respect your challenge. And I get that people see it differently. And I hope you're right. Hand on heart, because all I care about is that United win. The reason I bring up the young content creators is because I'm going to say this about Mark, and I hope he doesn't get offended. I'm sure he won't. Mark is the most successful football YouTuber in the history of football YouTube. That isn't because he's right about everything. He gets hundreds of things wrong and hundreds of things right. No more than you guys. And this is where sometimes I've got a guy that I've fallen out with recently. He's not really a YouTuber, but does bits. And he's very angry with me because he thinks his footballing opinions are better than mine. And because I get the views I get, and whenever he makes content no one watches, unless he goes on other people's channels, he's like really bitter about it. And we had a bit of a set too. And I said, listen, my friend, it's personality. Yes, you've got to have a level of football understanding. If someone come out here talking football and they clearly didn't watch the game, nobody would listen no matter how funny they were. Unless they were really funny and it was hilarious to listen to their nonsense. It's about personality. And the reason why I think that's important is I think there are a lot of people that clout chase when their team's going through bad times, or all clubs. And they clout chase by trying to be right, being really, really polarized in the hope that it generates in the hope that it generates like, oh, this is going to be my moment to shine. And I think those days are gone. That's 10 years ago. So I implore people to be open-minded. I implore people to be balanced. I implore people to be open to alternatives in these conversations. Yes, it isn't as entertaining. It isn't going to go as viral. You may not even feel like you have a support. I don't. I feel like the people that want him out hate me because they hear me sort of blame players for things and ownership for things. This has always happened. The amount of times when I used to have a go at the Glazers, and you guys won't remember, I wasn't on the United stand back then. Ollie was struggling, Jose, Ten Hag, and I'd be like, oh, these bloody Glazers. The Glazers don't pick the team. The Glazers don't coach the team. It's all I ever used to get. So the outers have always hated me because I won't ever, under any manager, just blame him. Equally, the inners don't like me because I also criticize the manager and criticize them for things and say, this is wrong and that is wrong. No, it's just the players, it's just the owners. And I sit there and I'm like, have we not realized after 12 years, 13? And this is the biggest point. If you're debating anybody on this and they don't want you using history, it's because they're scared of debate and they know what you're saying is true. Have we not learned from history that the problems with Man United have rarely been just one thing? And the only way, and this is the irony in all of this, most people that want Amorim out and are vehement about it are not fans of INEOS. And there is a beautiful, unspoken irony in all of this, and I quite like it. And it is the only way they're right that the silver bullet of sacking Amorim and getting the right coach fixes us. We play better, we grow, we have minimal setbacks and keep getting better and better, is if the owners that they're telling you are awful, the owners that they've slagged off, the new owners, the part owners they've slagged off for the better part of 2 years, the only way that works is if the rebuild culturally and structurally inside the club has worked, if the purchases have actually been brilliant, and if everything's actually running really, really well, it's just the managers have undone it. So even then, just sacking the manager isn't the reason we've improved. You're ignoring all these fundamental parts that are the biggest reasons we're where we are. And that's what I find really difficult about the conversation, is that we ignore so many issues. It happens every time. And maybe I'm a little jaded with it, but what I'm not going to be is bullied or gaslit into thinking it's just one thing. And if I end up being wrong, I'll be a man about it. I'll hold my hands up and say, wow, you were right. But there is an irony in it. The only way they're right about changing the manager is the thing that fixes us and makes us better, is if they admit they were wrong about the underlying problems that got us to this point in the first place, which they've called people like Mark and me and good friends of mine like KJ and Neeks from the Football Terrace out for years for saying they're not the real problems. There's a beautiful irony in it. A beautiful irony. Yeah, there really is. Joseph here. By the way, thank you, Carl. Great comment. Joseph here says, Xabi Alonso played with 3 at the back at Leverkusen, and now he plays 4 at the back with Madrid. So why can't Amorim change his system? It's a great question. It's a great question. Look, Jason Woolcock as well has spoke publicly that they're not just buying players to play 3 at the back. So there's almost an element of we'll test their recruitment now. Let's see what happens. I agree with you. Shahin says we're not even playing a back 3 in build-up. One centre-back goes higher as a CDM, and in defence, one centre-back goes into the CDM. Amorim might as well play a back 4. Yeah, do you know what, though? There is an element of this where I thought some of this is probably psychological as well. There's an element of this that might just be psychological. If the players did exactly the same things, but their starting position was 4-3-3, I wonder how different the result would be. You remember that famous scene from Harry Potter where Harry puts the Lady Luck, pretends to put the Lady Luck into Ron Weasley's drink before he plays his first game in goal at Quidditch. And he goes out there and has an all-time great game, and he's the hero, and everyone's chanting Weasley's name, and the Weasleys don't normally get that kind of attention. And then a girl comes up and gives him a big kiss, and it's like, hey, it's nice. And then Harry kind of this scene just putting the bottle, it's not been opened, he didn't give it to him, into his pocket. And it's because he thought he had that. Because he thought he had it, he did more. I've seen people do this in my old kickboxing gym. We had this lad that said he had no energy to train. So somebody gave him like this shot and just said like it's the most potent energy drink you can have. It's full of like, it's sort of like 30 times stronger than espresso. It'll give you the energy you need. It was decaf coffee. And he did it, and he went and put a really hard session in. It was mental. These things, I think they've got a word as well when it comes to drinking and taking things. There's a word you guys are going to know more than me, where it doesn't really do anything, but it makes you feel like it does. And I think there's an element of that with this team now. with all the media pressure. I think if they just change formation, they might improve to a certain degree just because they feel like something different is going on. I wouldn't, again, that wouldn't surprise me with the psychology of footballers. Placebo, that's the word. Yes, placebo. It's one of these things I look at, and placebo effect, that's the one. It's one of these things, and I don't know if you could equate that. I think that might only work if it's to do with food. I could be very wrong. But you change it and it might give them confidence. But even if we improve by going to a 4-3-3, we're still probably only going to get to a team that wins 50% of its games. To get to that, and this is where I say to fans, even if that happens, there'll come a point where you go, okay, that's great. But now I'm annoyed, I want to go to the next level. And I've seen this my whole life. I've given this example before. This is maybe why my feet are on the ground. I job in the bank. And it always makes me laugh. When I joined, it used to take 5 whole days, working days as well, to get a new bank card if you lost it. And I'll cut this story short in case you've heard it before. But every time we did it, someone, I want to log a complaint. It's too long. Okay. Turns out before I joined years earlier, it was 2 weeks to get a new card. They got down to 5 days, but they complained. After a little while, we worked with new couriers and had new processes in the bank, and you could get your new card within 2 working days. So when people started losing their cards, then it was like, only 2 days. Oh my God, amazing. Thank you. 6 months later, can I order a new card? Yes, you can, sir. It's done. You would get 2 days. It's far too long. Can I log a complaint, please? And I remember getting the first one we ever got in my branch. I nearly lost my temper. I was like, what do you mean you're going to complain? It's down from 5 to 2 days. Anyway, the complaints started building. A year or so later, a new process came in. They put all these machines in our branches where you could print off a new bank card in the branch. It took about half an hour. By the time we ID'd someone, set the machine up, and did it all, it's about half an hour. First few months, everyone loved it. Then we started getting complaints that waiting for half an hour was too long. And it's seeing that human interaction in real time, the way the brain works, the way people want instant gratification. It's why I push back on slow down about feeling fixed because you play some good football. Slow down about this idea that you'll be happy if you play some good football and start winning an extra 2 games a month. Oh, that'll be enough. I'll be happy with it. You won't be. What will actually happen, you end up getting angrier. The way the mind works, and that's my problem here. We end up getting angrier and angrier and angrier. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't criticize bad performances. Shouldn't mean we shouldn't criticize a striker missing sitters. Doesn't mean we shouldn't criticize Bruno Fernandes playing in the middle. It is ridiculous he's in the 8. I agree with you. But even if that problem got fixed and Lemaines goes in goal, there's still other problems I still feel are at this club that we need to... and it's when I hear, Terry, you back me on Amorim being sacked. Well, explain to me why you want him sacked. I think when he goes, we get Areola, watch us cook. We should be challenging for top 4. We should be going for the trophies. Then I'm like, I'm out. I can't back you. But you want him out as well. Well, I want him gone, but I can't back the rest of your approach. So I don't side with you. Because I think listening to people's solutions and their overarching understanding of the issues at your club, that's far more important than just, well, I agree that the manager's got to go. For me, that's a very surface level basic thing, you know? Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. Let me know. Endless hope, despair cycle. We win, we feel hope, we lose, hate life. Not good for mental health. Closer to match day, hope rises. You know what we get. Listen, I hear you, Chris. I do the same thing on a regular basis because I love this club and I'm human. And I just don't see it turning around. I think if he keeps playing Bruno in central midfield, if he keeps buying there in goal, I genuinely don't see how we improve. As harsh as that sounds, I feel that the low continuing to play is bad for us. We're not getting the best out of Ahmad. I just don't see it working. We don't create chances for Šeško. And even though we've had lots of chances in the Arsenal game, he didn't play actually. And there was lots of chances in early part of the Fulham game. Lots of chances against Burnley. When we have our number 9 on, we're not creating him chances. And these things must be criticised. So yeah, I would change. There's so many things to change. Get the defence shored up and stop conceding poor goals. Set pieces for one. What do they do all week? Joe, Andy, is a great point. And that's where someone like an Oliver Grasner is intriguing to me because I think he's first point of call. And this is where United, I look at it as expectations have got to drop. We might have to become a stinky team before we become a better team, before we become a more better and entertaining team. We might have to become horrible to play, maybe not a great spectacle to watch, but stop ourselves from losing. Maybe stopping losing so much will help the players build the confidence to play better football. Because I do also think some of it is they're not good enough. I do think these players are damaged as well. Maybe not the new guys as much yet, but it won't take long. I think these players are damaged. You go through the amount of defeats they've gone through in the last 20 months. I know some players are new, and I know some players are old, and some people have moved on, but it's been horrendous. And some of these players are walking wounded. They have got scars that may not be healed at this club. I think all these things are fundamentally important. Ian here says, sack Amorim if he won't change the formation, drop Bruno and play Mainu and Yoro. In fact, Mainu's not... Has Mainu had a Premier League start yet? I want to say he did against Burnley, but I could be really wrong. I could be really, really, really wrong when I say that. So I don't think he started a Premier League game. He started Grimsby. Did he start Burnley? Or did he come on as a sub? No, he came on as a sub. Yeah, he hasn't started the fact he hasn't started a Premier League game. Again, these are the things that I look at the manager and go, that ain't right. It's not right at all. On any level. Whatsoever. Can't get behind it. Can't support it. Got to be pushed back against straight. Let's have a look here at some more of your lovely comments. Will we be talking about sacking the next manager within a year if Amorim is sacked? It's a possibility, but this is why I think people have got to keep their feet on the ground, because I don't think if you just look as is sacking the manager guaranteeing the next guy gets sacked? No. Not addressing other underlying issues and improving on them will lead to the next guy being sacked at some point before he's achieved what we hope he can. That for me seems inevitable because history does repeat itself. Now, again, if you're someone that believes INEOS have done a really good job of building the squad, a really good job of fixing the culture, a really good job from the footballing angle, but the coach is just holding us back, then you've got nothing to worry about. And I respect that, but you got to say it. The people that confuse me the most are the ones that say awful owners, crap recruitment, no understanding of how to run the club, sack this crap manager they hired, bring me a new one. I'm so excited. What are you excited about? If you've explained that they're part of the reason then this guy fouled anyway, or they bought a dud in, why would I be excited about them picking someone else? I used to say that to the guys that used to like hate Woodward and go, oh, sack him, bring us someone else, bring me this guy, bring me this guy, bring me that guy. Well, you're trusting the guy you say is ruining the club. It's weird. Why I have no enthusiasm about it. None. It's gone. Finished for me. Kev here says, with Ten Hag and Ruben Amorim, we hired top managers. They weren't bad players, matter too. They can only coach those willing to develop, not one who thinks they know it all. Well, do you know what? I think if you're right and it's that bad, it'll be interesting to see if the next guy comes in and we barely improve. Maybe that'll be a tipping point for people. Let's say Xavi comes in. Let's say Areola comes in, and the win percentage barely improved. We don't really get any better. Then it becomes an interesting conversation. But I'm not sure if that will happen personally. I'm not sure if that will happen. Yes, he did. He started against Burnley. No, he didn't start against Burnley. I'm looking at it here. Unless I'm being stupid. No, he came on as a sub at half-time. He came on at half-time when Mount and Cunha went off. That's what happened. That's what happened. Euro got subbed off for Maz on the 85th minute. Yes, that's correct. He did. I mean, those are other things that Ruben does that just drive me insane. Like, stop changing the centre-backs all the time. Leave them on. It winds me up something chronic. I think Amorim robbed us of that teeny bit of hope now that it's bad, as you won't adapt, won't do different teams. Yeah, listen, Lisa, I agree with you. I think he has robbed a lot of people of that. And I think he's upset a lot of people as well on a personal level, because I'm in a few group chats where there are some United fans that were, I wouldn't say none of them, no one in the group chats I'm in, the Man United group chats I'm in, are like, Amorim's 100% the guy, he should get back no matter what. There is very much a lot of criticism, but it's led to a lot of people that have been really polarized, really aggressive, wrong about a lot, but because they're probably right that Amorim's got to go, they're sort of lauding it about a bit, like, yeah, I know more than you. I told you I was right. And I think that's also why a lot of people are now really angry, because they're like, screw you, Ruben. You've meant this fucking idiot can to speak to me this way. I see a lot of that. Not just Man United. I see it in all my groups. Some of my group chats are mixture of people. I have some that are just fans from each club for the football terrace. And I've seen it in all those group chats over the years. Like, people fall out, and then the guy that's getting bantered because his opinion about a manager was wrong, I then watch him on his own streams, and the way he then goes in on these managers crazy. It's like, oh, that isn't even about your team losing. That's about you getting stick. So I see a big mixture of these things, and I suppose it's an important part for us. How can you improve a squad that downs tools so many times, as all fans want a team playing good football? Yeah, listen, I think, get rid of the leadership group and change the midfield. Listen, that's where I also agree. I mean, the fact is, if for the next 2 years, Oliver Glasner has to rely on Maguire and Dalot and Shaw as he's part of his leadership group, he'll also foul. He might do, this is the thing, he might do a better job than Ruben, but they'll still ultimately fail, which is why I just don't feel excited. But again, people that are slow of mind will say, stop defending Ruben. Nothing to do with Ruben. This is from Shahin, says, I wish we get a Sir Alex Ferguson or Sir Matt Busby, but maybe those days are gone, and we need to follow Chelsea's model, stacking managers. We can't keep giving managers the entire squad and hope they succeed. Well, we haven't done that this time round. The players are being bought by the club, so that's one positive about removing this manager. That's why, again, when people go, we have to break the cycle. We are breaking the cycle in the sense of the managers aren't building the squads anymore. So that element, I'm relatively comfortable with. We're not going to find another Sir Alex or Sir Matt Busby, because no one's trained to run football clubs anymore. They're trained to be head coaches. So we need to, I think that's a train of thought we have to lose as fans. The clubs are run by sporting directors. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Michael here says, the Glazers still own the club and INEOS are puppets. The club is rotten from the top to the bottom. I love and support this club, but I'm losing hope. Such a great point. It's crazy how everything's going on at the moment. I don't really remember anyone mentioning the Glazers for ages. And maybe that's half their plan of taking the money from INEOS. But they'll be here for another 10, 20 years. Because I know this always winds people up. But until fans are willing to boycott, why would they walk away? We just keep giving them more and more. They just had record revenue. They put the ticket prices up. Everyone moaned. We all condemned it. But then everyone still goes. So they don't care. And I know people think that if I don't go, the games, tourists will fill it up. I don't think so. You know, you don't have to buy shirts. You don't have to renew MUTV. You don't have to follow the Twitter account. I mean, all these things would help impact it, but fans aren't willing to do it. And by the way, that is their choice or your choice. And I'm not judging you overly for it, but you can never expect leeches. Think about it like this. Imagine an actual leech on your skin. How are you, unless by force, thus cutting away the blood supply, how else are you getting rid of it? If you're just going to go, it's all right, mate. Get off. Come on, please get off me. He won't get off. Come on, get off me. Stop sucking that blood now. If you don't stop sucking that blood, I'm going to protest. What do you mean? I'm just going to go on a march. You're not going to force him off. You're not going to cut off the blood supply. No, I'm just going to tell him how angry I am. You know, that leech is just going to stay there and keep sucking my blood. And that's, again, it is what it is. But every time I say that, I get death threats. But I'm a top red as well, supposedly. Hi, Terry. Appreciate your opinions, but as a supporter attending home and away games, I've never felt so disillusioned. Any light at the end of the tunnel? Listen, bro, it's match day fans I feel for as well. Not only do you travel the length and breadth of the country, it's very expensive. Costs you tens of thousands of pounds to support your team, and you do it on a die-hard level. So I do respect that part. Although I've just said a second ago, you know, the more we do it, the more we give our money, the Glazers won't go. I do believe that. But I also understand that people still want to go and support their team. And I do understand it. Any light at the end of the tunnel? Right now, I'm not going to give you any false hope. I don't see any right now. And I've been saying for about 5-6 months, I've been slowly losing the grace that I gave to INEOS. And said, right, well, I'm going to give you some time to show me what you can do. It's running out. And it's running out rapidly at the moment. It really is. So, yeah, I'm sorry to say that, but it's the truth. I don't want to lie to you. Listen, I want to say a big thank you to each and every single one of you that's tuned in this evening. This is going to redirect you to That's Football. Mark is going live for the Champions League games momentarily. I'm live tonight for match reactions to those Champions League games. It'd be nice to see some of you back there at 9:45 on the Football Terrace. But thank you all for tuning in. Big love, big respect. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'm going to see you all again very, very soon. Thank you.